Hi, I'm Black Dragon, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Black Dragon Biker TV. And we'd like to thank you for tuning in from no matter wherever it is in the world that you happen to be. Listen, riding a motorcycle for me is like one of the greatest things I can do. It's one of the greatest things I've ever done. And I've wrapped a large part of my life around being on a motorcycle, being around a motorcycle, talking about motorcycles, living motorcycles, the biker life, the biker culture, just motorcycles, motorcycles, motorcycles. I think every day of my life I have some sort of conversation about a motorcycle. Something that I do is related to motorcycling. And since I've started this YouTube channel, it's even been even more intense. I just am a guy who likes motorcycling. And for me, it's like the apex. It's the top of my life. The only thing better than being on a motorcycle is where I'm on a motorcycle at, if you will. For instance, the Autobahn on a Hayabusa 1300. Like that's the top of the top. Being on a motorcycle is great. Being on the Autobahn on the 1300 is even greater. There you get to just like do your thing and motorcycle yourself without any restrictions almost. It's wonderful. Or maybe being on a motorcycle in the Swiss Alps going across those switchbacks where you look over the side and you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to die if I make a mistake. I mean, that's apex motorcycle riding there. Or maybe riding up the tight side of Mount Palomar over in San Diego. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. It's a wonderful thing. Riding across the desert, crossing the petrified forest, riding through Death Valley, riding across the country on a cold ass run when it's 18 degrees and the wind is blowing at -2. These are apex riding situations. And I love riding in California. California is amazing because when the traffic stops, you don't have to. If you're on a motorcycle, you can ride in between everybody on the white lines, and it's legal. You can ride in between everybody on the white lines when all traffic is stopped, and it's legal. If all the traffic is stopped and everybody is pulled up to the stop sign light and the traffic goes back 2 miles and you're 2 miles back, you can get in the center lane and ride all the way up to the front and cut in line, if you will. You can cut in line. You can just ride up to the front and be at the front of the pack and just speed on up out of there and leave everyone behind you and traffic be damned. That's the cool thing about riding in California. Actually, I think California is the only place in the United States that you can do that. Lane splitting. They call it filtering in Europe, I think. Lane filtering there. And I don't know if it's legal there or not, but it is legal in California. And I think California might be the only place that it's legal, even though whenever I'm on the West Coast, and I mean anywhere on the West Coast, if I'm in Phoenix, I filter, lane split. If I'm in Vegas, I filter, lane split. You know, anywhere I am over there on the West, I do it. Now, I don't know if it's legal in Vegas or not, but I've never been pulled over for it, and I always do it. I've always done it. Whenever I'm in the West, I filter. Lane splitting, filtering is the coolest thing in the world. It's apex riding because nothing stops you. Like when I was making a movie out there in California, I was in downtown LA. We had to go to another spot, had to ride. Man, you get on their motorcycles, you're there. So, I mean, it's wonderful. It's amazing. But we got some issues now that are coming up. And filtering is really cool because like you're the king of the road when you filter. And you don't need anything from anybody. All you just need is the two cars to just stay in the center of the lane like they're doing. You don't need them to move over for you or anything like that. You see your opportunity to filter and you just go, whew. And you're between them before they can even react, and you're past them before they can do anything about it. You just, and you have to have your, and people that are like from, you know, Georgia and stuff where I live right now, those people wouldn't be good at filtering because you got to have heart about you to filter. And California bikers, they just have that heart. Like you're doing 60 miles an hour and there's two 18-wheelers side by side. Not everybody will just split the lane and ride right between them as though it ain't nothing. Not everybody's going to do that at 80 miles an hour. In California, they just do it all the time. So it takes a mindset to filter. But I just saw this video. My friend Diver in the Wind sent it to me. It was kind of interesting video because now we have a new thing coming up to threaten our lives even more. And I tell you, it's been tough. We've had to get used to things as bikers, like people putting on makeup, like people eating while talking on the phone. I was watching a biker safety video one time, and a guy offered a guy a stick of chewing gum. And the guy was driving, and he says, "Hey, would you like a stick of chewing gum?" And just holding that stick of chewing gum up right in front of his face blocked out a whole motorcycle. These are the things we have to deal with. Dingle balls hanging from the windshield can block out a whole motorcycle. And that's kind of scary. But we've learned how to deal with it. We've learned how to go from the pager, which used to take people's attention off the road for just a half a second. And for those of you who don't know what a pager is, because there are some of you young folks who don't, it was the precursor to the cell phone. And the pager was just this little box that sat on your waist, and it would go off and you would know that someone was calling you. But then they upgraded the pager and it would go off, and now you can look at it, take your eyes off the road and miss the biker. And you can look at it and now you can see the phone number of the person that was calling you. Then they upgraded it and you could look at it and it would send a message. Call Julie now. Then it changed where you could look at it, it would send a message, and you could send a message back. Changed up on us a little bit and started taking people's eyes off the road even more. Then came the bag phone. The bag phone was like the first cell phone that was not installed in the car, because it used to be when first cell phones very first came out in like the 70s or the 1960s or 70s, only rich people had them and they were actually installed in the car. The bag phone you could actually take with you. And then after the bag phone came the brick. The brick it wasn't in a bag. It didn't have a phone and a power supply. It was like a medic running around in World War II, you know. This was a brick phone. This brick phone was as big as a brick, but it was a one unit. Then the brick phone became the flip phone, and that's when we first got our first communicator like we'd seen in Star Trek. And so then they went down real small to some point where they're little flip phones, and now we've got these big old huge Samsung Note 9s and Note 10s, and these things they're going big again. But I don't know if they'll ever get the size of a brick. But all this stuff in cars and navigation units and incredible entertainment units, all this stuff in cars to take the eyes of the driver and distract that driver while I'm out there on my motorcycle trying not to get hit by your bumper and lose my leg. But that's something we've become accustomed to. We have learned how to be prepared. Like if you're slowing up in traffic, are you looking in your rearview mirror as a biker to make sure that everybody's slowing up behind you? And have you plotted a place to go in case that jerk behind you doesn't see you? When you're pulling in through the construction zone and he's on his cell phone and the speed limit just dropped to 25 miles an hour, are you in that rearview mirror to make sure that you're not going to get creamed? These are the things we've learned as a driver. But what can you do as a rider after you've learned all these things and they come up with some new technology to kill you? A self-driving Tesla, where the guy can be asleep behind the wheel and the car's driving itself. Absolutely amazing. Incredible technology, except if it's wrong and he bumps into another car, no big deal. But if it's wrong and he bumps into you, no legs. Can't walk again. Paralyzed from the waist down. Or maybe even dead. Maybe you lose an arm or an eye. Or you have some sort of seizure-like stroke after being hit and run over by 12 cars, and you can never really quite speak again. So this is what happens with technology. Until they get technology perfected, somebody's got to die, and sometimes it's a lot of somebodies. I mean, the Tesla has had issues. It looked at, one time the Tesla was driving, I believe it was, and if I remember the case right, it saw one of those silver 18-wheelers truck things. It reflected off of it, wasn't able to recognize it for what it was, crashed and killed the driver. Oh, gee, that was a mistake. We've got it fixed. But the driver was dead. And I want our abate organizations and our motorcycle rights organizations fighting this kind of technology. And why? Because it doesn't work fully yet. And this one guy, YouTuber named Scott Kubo, Scott Kubo, this YouTuber named Scott Kubo made a video where he took his really cool, expensive, wild looking, nice Tesla and he put it to the test to see if it could distinguish between, see if it could see motorcycles that were filtering, lane splitting in California where it's legal. And if it recognized these motorcycles, what did it do about it? And in this video that Scott did, he determined from his observations that it didn't work. That it didn't see and recognize a filtering motorcycle, a lane splitting motorcycle, for what it was. And therefore the software had no capability to react to it. And that's scary to me. Now, I don't know that we want a reaction from the software. Maybe we want it to just do what it was doing, stay in the lane that you're supposed to stay in. We're doing the lane splitting. We know what to do. You just stay right there. We don't need you moving over. None of that. You just stay right there. But the fact that it doesn't see you at all is scary. And then I did an interview with an abate guy yesterday. And you're going to see that interview. It's a really cool interview. Where he told me that he had seen and talked to some folks and had seen some sort of article where they talked about the fact that the Tesla and other of these driving AI kind of platforms are designed to protect the driver first. Make sense? So that the AI, the artificial intelligence, as it becomes alive, wants to live. Hey, everything that lives wants to live. And it makes the decision that I'm going to hit the smallest thing on the road, given a choice between hitting an 18-wheeler and a motorcycle. I'm going to hit the motorcycle because we have a better survival rate over here in this car if we hit the small thing, rather than if we hit that big 18-wheeler. Well, yes, you have a better chance of survival, but the motorcyclist is dead. So, I mean, the mathematics are great. The AI sees the target and decides to protect itself and the driver. Self-preservation is everything. But me as a biker, I would rather you make the decision to slam the truck so we all have a better survival rate. And the AI might not be willing to do that. I don't like this. I don't like it. It's trouble brewing. Until that one guy makes that suit that explodes around us and allows us to, tumble off unharmed, this could be a problem. So I'm against this. And let me show you some of Scott Kubo's video so you can see what the hell I'm talking about. And then we've got to fight against this. We got to get our motorcycle rights organizations to lobby against this evil technology until they get it fixed. I don't want us to be like those airplanes that are doing this and the pilots are fighting the airplanes and the airplanes are crashing into the ground, and because it's a brand new Max 8 or Max 9, we're not going to take this. We have full confidence in this. You do? It's slamming into the ground, killing people. You have full confidence in it. You don't know what made it slam into the ground. It's a brand new airplane. There's two of them. And you got a pilot with 8,000 hours of flight time. But it's okay. You still believe in it. And you're going to keep it flying. And that's what they do. And I don't want that on the road with me and my motorcycle. What do you think? So anyway, take a look at this video. We do have that video, right? Yep. Take a look at this video, and I'll get back to you right after that. Roll that clip.
Motorcycle lane splitting is a common practice in many parts of the world, but it's actually illegal in the United States, except for California. Now, I wanted to see how well Autopilot would detect lane splitting motorcycles, so I recorded some videos, and I also recorded them in binaural audio. So if you use your headphones, you can actually hear the vehicles coming from behind and going forward. It's quite neat. I don't think Autopilot saw that one. I have to check the film. So you can see that Autopilot has a lot of variability in how it detects the motorcycles. Sometimes it seems to identify them as being merged with the car. Other times it's detecting them as a car or in the right side lane, or sometimes it does accurately detect the motorcycle in between lanes. There's even times when Autopilot doesn't seem to detect the motorcycle at all with the cameras, though it does seem to do a pretty good job of detecting the obstacle with the ultrasonic sensors, so assumedly it wouldn't accidentally run into a motorcycle. As of now, Autopilot does not actually detect and move over to make way for lane-splitting motorcycles. I try to do this by disengaging Autopilot and moving over when it's a really tight squeeze. It's safer for both parties. But sometimes the motorcycles come up from behind you really quickly, and they're there before you even notice them. A lot of Tesla owners like to use the backup camera while they drive. While this gives you a really great view of everything around you and a really nice wide field of view, that fisheye lens has a downside, and that is it's not really good for visualizing objects that are far away or that are coming up really quickly from behind you. So the standard rear view and side view mirrors are still very important. Even if you're checking your mirrors regularly, you can miss these motorcycles because they come up so quickly. But I, like many drivers, actually use my ears to hear them coming. And to my knowledge, I don't think any self-driving vehicle programs are really using audio sensing in order to help their vehicles sense their environment better. But it's a very important sensory input for detecting the sound of a motor coming up from behind or horns honking, etc. Fast-moving objects are visually sometimes very hard to detect even for human eyes. Elon, on a recent quarterly earnings call for Tesla, said that the current hardware 2.0 and 2.5 can process about 200 frames per second. Now, divided by the 8 cameras, that's about 25 frames per second per camera. That may not be fast enough to detect really fast-moving objects. However, the new hardware GPU upgrade, which is supposed to be custom made by Tesla and released sometime in 2019, supposedly has 10 times more processing power, so it could process up to 2,000 frames per second.
So you see what I mean? It's kind of crazy. And I don't like it. I hope you did notice the Black Sabbath rider in that video. You did see the Black Sabbath guy there, the rider. It's amazing when I look at a video that was made by a guy who was making it for a European audience and my motorcycle club rides past, or one of my brothers. It lets you know that Black Sabbath is everywhere. We be everywhere. And it was just, I just smiled. As a matter of fact, my friend Dibber in the Wind, you know, the European motorcycle expert and MC protocol expert over on the other side of the pond, he actually sent me the links to this video because he was watching it and he saw the Black Sabbath pop up. And it's just really cool when people around the world know our 45-year-old MC. It just touched my heart. I just thought I would add that in there. I don't know, just in there. I'm seeking counseling for this kind of thing. But yeah, I'm just happy that it was. Moving on. Anyway, we don't want this, do we? We need to fight against this, don't we? Yes, we do. And that's what I think. So what do you think? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. And be sure to check out our bikerliberty.com where you can get the latest news and you can actually see this story. And there's some more information in this story over at bikerliberty.com. The link is in the description. And that would be very cool. Also, check out our podcast, which comes on Mondays and Fridays. The podcast is The Dragon's Lair, Motorcycle Chaos, available to you at Spreaker.com, Stitcher, Podbean, Podcast, all those places, Tuned In, iTunes, all the places you go to get your podcast. Also, be sure and check out my new channel, Think Tactical, Biker Prepper channel, where we're talking about staying alive and being prepared for life's worst times. ThinkTacticalNews.com is Think Tactical News, and the podcast Think Tactical on Spreaker and Google Play and all those kinds of places. We'd appreciate it if you check that out. Now, YouTube is going to show you a video that it wants you to see from me that's next, and I also have a video that I want you to see. So one is what YouTube thinks is best for you, and the other is what I think is best. Listen, that's my 2 cents. Let's hear yours. Thanks for tuning in, and get skinny.